Good morning again, everybody, and thank you for joining me for our first session of summer school. Just what you all wanted to be doing as grown-ass adults, I know. I am going to apologize in advance. This session one, business planning, is probably the most boring class you will ever take, but I promise you it is fundamental to your business. And while it seems elementary, like duh, I think you'll have a lot of those moments. So few agents are actually doing the fundamental things that they should be doing that I think that this is a good reminder for all of you. That being said, this class is interactive, so please do feel free to interact. It will be very fast paced, as all of my classes are, because despite being from Arizona, I sound like I'm from the East Coast. So we'll just work our way right through it. If I can get my screen to do something, we will work our way right through it. So starting with developing your business or your business mindset. Leah's coming out swinging this morning. So the quote of the day, my success or failure is entirely my fault. Nobody wants to hear that. I understand nobody wants to hear that, but in a business where you are solely responsible for how you are going to perform, for what you're going to do, this is something that you need to remember. But who knows the famous Thomas Edison quote about failure? That wants to unmute themselves and share it with me. Oh, come on. Come on. We've got to have some studious people in the group. What happened when he was trying to invent the light bulb? Nothing. Okay, well, I'm going to lead the pack.
They
It's
were
obviously.
shocked.
Okay, that's a different version of history than I'm familiar with. I was going with, hey, when he was asked about it, he said, I never failed. I found 10,000 ways, in essence, to not create a light bulb. That was the moral of the story is you're not failing because something didn't work. Okay, you're learning that that didn't work, and then you're making adaptations to your process, to how you're conducting business, and you adaptations to how you're doing your business, and then you're course correcting, and that's okay. That's not failure. So again, just think of Thomas Edison not getting shot, but ultimately all of the ways that he learned how not to make a light bulb. A few things about work ethic. Again, I know that this is duh stuff, right? But we need these reminders periodically. So this is not an industry where you can lack a work ethic. This is not an industry for employee mentality. You are an entrepreneur, you are a business owner, and you have to take that on. So, a few basic things: diligence, hard work, self discipline. Not only must you have a definitive action plan, which we're going to get into, and I'm going to share one with you, but you have to actually follow it. So it's great if you have these goals for yourself. It's great if you have even good on you if you have a written business plan. But if you are not taking daily, regular action to see it through, then it's worthless. So you have to have both things. You have to have the plan and you have to have the action. Be consistent. I love this, hence the heart. Do ordinary tasks with such consistency, it becomes extraordinary. I just think that that is so profound and yet simple in its statement. But we think that there's going to be some big payoff, that we're going to do this amazing one time marketing event and it's going to yield all of the results for the rest of our business. And that's not how it works, right? So sometimes it's just a matter of, even if I don't want to do it, I'm going to get up and I'm going to call 3 people in my sphere today. I'm going to get up and I'm going to go host an open house. I'm going to get up and I'm going to have not just get lost in the vortex of social media, but I'm actually going to have a plan for how I'm handling my social media. Who am I commenting on today? What is my post content going to look like? When am I going to make my post? Am I following all of the analytics that I'm getting to know when those things are most valuable? So just doing little things, making the calls, preparing people for what's coming next in the transaction. It's ordinary, but again, make it extraordinary because you're doing it so regularly. And then stick to your schedule. I am going to share with you towards the end of this class, but then I'll email out an editable version, a perfect day. And a perfect day is about time blocking. And it's time blocking for activities that will make the most difference in your business. the bulk of which, no surprise, are working with clients and prospecting for new clients. So I'll show you what those blocks look like, and then you can play around with them. You can modify them. But as you will discover, what you erase, you must replace. So you can't just say, okay, well, I couldn't get to that today, so I'll have to put it off. No, no, you have to swap a time block with something else in that day. So again, I'll show you about that. Are any of you familiar with Kelsey Fendler? Nobody? Has anybody heard about what she just accomplished last week?
Is
Okay.
she the girl that rode from California to Hawaii?
Yep, she
Okay.
sure did. She broke world records by doing this. She is a single younger female who rowed a boat, rowed a boat from California to Hawaii in 43 days and 17 hours or some crazy, crazy short amount of time. Um, she is your inspiration for this morning because she didn't just get in a boat and start rowing. Okay, that's not how this worked. She had to have a plan in place. She had to practice what she was going to do. She had to have a team to support her. She had to know every single day what her rations were going to be, how far she needed to row. So it's not enough to just have the goal of getting to Hawaii from California. It was all of the daily details that had to be accounted for. And she needed to know that in advance because once you're out on the water, well, yes, obviously there's she had air support and some other people that could be around if God forbid she needed the assistance. At the end of the day, she was responsible for making this on her own. So I want you to keep her in mind. She's fascinating. If you haven't seen or read her story, definitely go check it out. But she is your inspiration for this morning. That you can't just jump into doing something. You have to have a plan of action.
She also hallucinated because the first night, the first week, she could not sleep. She was running on very low sleep, and she said her boat, she could hear it talking to her. So sometimes I guess we're gonna go through that.
I mean, at least we're going to get expert advice. If we're talking to ourselves, then at the end of the day, we'll take that for the benefit that it is. If you haven't hallucinated, hopefully positively, at least once in this industry, I feel like you're not doing your job correctly. So check in. Some perseverance notes. So continued and patient effort. Okay. One of my favorite sayings that many of you have heard me say, competence breeds confidence. So the more familiar you are with the forms, with the timelines, with the resources available to you, those things are ultimately what help you gain confidence. Because if you feel like, hey, I know that purchase contract backwards and forwards, good luck to you because I don't. And I've probably done it 5 million times at this juncture. I helped write certain parts of it, and I still find something new every day because your clients are crazy and they find ways to figure out the gray nuances that we think are black and white. But all of that being said, I've at least read it. I've read it multiple times. If you're not super familiar with the purchase contract, I'd suggest you start reading it every single day. You don't have to do the whole thing. Read page one, ask questions, figure it out, and then move on to the next page. Be committed. This is tough. I think all of you jump into real estate assuming you're committed, but what are you really willing to do to succeed? Because this is a tough industry and it's not for everybody, and that's okay. It's not meant to be for everybody. No industry is. But there are a lot of things that you will likely need to sacrifice if you wish to be highly successful. And by highly successful, I'm not talking just about money, although, yes, we have to make a living. I'm talking about really earning the trust of your clients and successfully being the purveyor of the American dream. That is what the goal is. And ultimately, aside from doing these little things consistently that we're talking about, are you willing to work on vacations? Are you willing to work 7 days a week? Are you willing to modify your schedule, miss out on soccer games? Because there are times where you will very likely have to do those things, especially early on in your career. But you have to get out of the employee mindset. This is not a 9 to 5 job. And if you want to work 9 to 5, you either have to do all of the hard work up front for years to build it out, where you can sit back as a team leader and have others do some of that for you. Or again, that's okay. It's just not the industry for you. So be honest with yourself about what your expectations are and what you're willing to do to hit them. Be accountable, mostly to yourself. I don't want any of you to feel like you're a lone island. But I get it. This is a tough business, for people who don't have self accountability. Because at the end of the day, there's no one here holding your hand. There's no one here that's following your metrics and asking you, why didn't you accomplish this today? Or what are your goals to accomplish tomorrow? Unless you go out and seek some of those people, which I do strongly recommend. You can hire coaches for free. You can find on this call, look around, look who chats, look who piques your interest. Find a partner where even if you're just checking in once a week, okay, what tasks did you complete? What are you doing next? What are your goals? Find that person for you. Just a little recommendation. If you have an accountability partner, make it somebody who's also in the industry, because I promise you, people outside of this industry have no idea what we suffer through. They don't understand the turmoil that goes with being a real estate agent. So I strongly recommend finding an accountability partner that's familiar with what we do. Again, many of you have been around through some of my amazing acronyms, but the best one forever and always is FITFO. And great salespeople, FITFO. And that is figure it the F out. There are so many resources available to you. And I'm not talking just about paper resources and websites and CRMs. People that are willing to help collaborate, that are happy to answer questions. But at the end of the day, you have to seek that guidance. It's not going to just come to you. Somebody doesn't just randomly know that you're having difficulty with getting people to an open house. You have to seek answers. You have to get out there. And sometimes it's just practicing, finding through trial and error what works and what doesn't. Other times it is, okay, I'm going to watch 15 YouTube videos on how to conduct successful open houses, and I'm going to extrapolate from those what I want to do, what resonates best with me to make my next one more successful. But FITFO it. Oh, I know another hard truth. Leah's full of those this morning. You are 100% responsible for where you are right now, both in life and business. Again, it's all about accountability. No one else is saving you from yourself. No one else is going to make you successful in this industry. So, a couple of little tidbits for you. Check in with yourself often. Now, I don't mean like, well, hello, Leah. How are you doing today? I'm so fine. Thank you very much for asking. I appreciate it. But there are different techniques that you can do, right? That it's sometimes it's just sitting back and saying, okay, focus on what I want. And especially in the midst of maybe a difficult transaction, just take a step back from it and really question, do I want to be right? Or do I want to see this close? Because those two are not naturally synonymous. So checking in with yourself is, hey, asking yourself the hard questions. Is this really worth my time? Is this worth my aggravation? Do I need to add to this drama? No, I do not. I need to take a step back and focus on what I want my end goal to be. Be deliberate and intentional. Okay, just don't go all willy-nilly. Just because somebody said, oh, hey, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, you really need to get in, you need to start following this practice. I mean, maybe, but if I chased every shiny object that was thrown at me as a real estate agent, I would have a bunch of shiny objects and no business. So be deliberate again in what you want. Find your intention. What am I going to do today? What is my focus going to be? How am I going to get more business? Your perfect day is going to help with that, but every action you take should be with that big goal in mind. Seeking answers. We already discussed FITFO. That falls in line with the same thing. A reminder, because I think you often forget, you are the CEO, the COO, the CFO, the CTO, and all of the COs of your business, and you're going to have to work like it until you've achieved that level where you now can delegate to other roles, which I encourage you all to do, some earlier than others, like hiring a transaction coordinator. But in the meantime, you have all of these roles to function as, and one doesn't operate without the other. So you're going to have to figure out, again, this is why a business plan is so important, because you have it all lined out for what those tasks include. Plan your work your plan. So again, we talked about an accountability partner. I have some accountability tools that I will share with you via email after this class. You can hire a coach, you can find mentors, you can have a combination of all of the above, but find something to utilize. Don't just get up at the beginning of the day, have no idea what you're going to do. Okay, well, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that. No, you should have an entire week planned in advance. These are the specific actions, the specific lead generation techniques I'm going to employ this week to build my business. All of that should be preset for you. Has anybody read, I keep calling it the magical morning, and then my husband's like, oh no, a magic morning is something very different, hun. This is the miracle morning. Has anybody read this book? I know, Sylvia, some people understand my dirty commentary, some people don't. It is what it is. If you haven't, this is a fantastic, fantastic book. And it's all about getting in the right headspace to start your day. And I love this. I say these statistics, and I haven't personally validated all of them, but there are enough of them closely related that I feel that there's some substance to them. And in essence, they interview pretty frequently very high performing individuals. Okay, so we're talking about the millionaires, the billionaires, the CEOs of companies, and they always try to find what similarities do they have. And one of the things that stood out, and by one of the things, and by standing out, I mean nearly 95% have reportedly mentioned that they have a very specific morning routine. Now, all of those routines don't look identical necessarily, but they have a morning routine that they will not compromise. The Miracle Morning outlines what they found most common amongst those responses. So these are 6 things that they encourage you to do every single morning. And here's the beauty of this. It doesn't have to take an extreme amount of time. While they recommend that each of these 6 things be given 10 minutes, so a total of an hour in the morning, you can do it in as little as 1 minute. So, and then you can mix it up. So maybe silence or meditation for a minute, but maybe you're going to exercise for 30 minutes. So you really can change this up to fit your needs. But the goal is do all 6 of these things for a minimum of 1 minute each. So silence meditation, your affirmations, visualization, exercise, physical exercise, reading, and then scribing or journaling. Most often, they recommend a gratitude journal. So even if you just take a minute to say one thing that you're grateful for today, or one thing that you're going to accomplish today, that would fall under your scribing. I think I have a few things in the chat. Guys, feel free to unmute yourself. I know I've mentioned this before, but it's really tough for me to keep an eye on the chat sometimes. Oh, good. You're also good helping each other. Yeah, the miracle morning. Oh, and there is a specific one for real estate agents. So they took all of the best practices from the original book and then they made it tie into the real estate industry. So there's a great one for you that is going to be homework. So be ready for it. Some basic setting the stage for success items. Okay, so this is just a list of things that you probably need in this business. And maybe some of these are even dated at this point. So I know it says, hey, an excellent camera and portable tripod. We all have a camera, right? It's ready to go with us wherever we need. Even a laptop. Many of you are completely on your phones at this point. Good on you. I am not that tech savvy. I'm showing my age more and more every single day. While I am just completely in awe of those that can do an entire transaction on a cell phone, I am not that person. So I do recommend a laptop for the majority of us. I feel like it's easier to sort things, maintain things, send things for signatures, et cetera, et cetera. But no cards and envelopes. We're going to get into a little bit of why I think that's important. A passenger vehicle with good, well, ideally running, and with AC, especially here. That being said, while I do think that's wise and you will have some times where you might have people in your vehicle, I'm a really big proponent of not doing that. At the end of the day, let them follow you or let them lead. Let them spend their time and their own gas looking at 30 different homes. And for safety reasons, for insurance reasons, for a bunch of reasons, I always think that it's just wise to have them follow you or they can lead the way. Having separate business checking accounts and savings accounts, always smart, especially if you decide to form a PLLC, you will have to have that. A name tag and a 1-pin, just a great, easy way to introduce yourself, especially if you're just out and about, right? The 1-pin, if you don't know what those are, let me see if I have a sample here for you. Maybe I don't right now. The one pen is just a little lapel pin. It's just the round circle one icon. You can get those on the One Shop. I love them because people ask, what does that mean? They don't associate it with Realty One Group. They have no idea that you're a real estate agent. So I love when somebody would inquire about what is that, what does that pin mean, and you get to then explain what you do and what you're a part of. I've also had some fun with, they have like scrolling digital name tags. So once upon a time when I was actually doing business, I had a little thing that said, "Hi, I'm Leah. Ask me about the real estate market," and it just scrolled, just a little LED scrolling tag. So you can get creative with some of these things, right? Stamps, your smartphone, we discussed. Business cards, you can do paper business cards. Those are a little easier to hand out. You can do digital business cards, which are just sharing from your phone, especially if you're wise and you can do the little thing. I'm not even in the right direction. You can do the little thing where like your phone kisses the screen of the other person's phone and then it just shares it automatically. Of course, internet access, a financial calculator or calculator app, again, you're pretty well covered there. Your personalized yard and open house signs. While we do have generic open house signs at most of our offices for our agents to borrow as necessary, it is highly critical that you invest in your own as soon as possible. And we're going to get into that tomorrow during our branding and farming class. But the reason for that is you need to start building name brand recognition. And the best way to do that is to have your name on things. So open house signs are a great way to do that, especially if you're consistently doing them in the same area or neighborhood, because then they're seeing your name. So yes, it's great if you don't have those, use generic ones. I'd rather you do an open house with generic signs than not do an open house at all. But it is going to be better for you long term if you invest in those personalized signs. Printer, scanner, copier, you do have those at the office. Most of you, again, can do a lot of that stuff even on your phone now. And a tablet or combo laptop tablet, not a necessity. It can be helpful, especially if you do digital open house registrations or for your listing presentations or buyer consultations. It's a little neater to have the tablet up and ready to go as you're going through. Oh, let me explain the contract to you. Let me explain the process to you. Let me tell you how I operate. Let me give you some marketing examples. So it's just a little more high-tech version of the old listing presentations. Again, elementary things, but sometimes you need a reminder. Okay, so showing confidence. And what breeds confidence?
Being confident.
Yes, I was going to say it's another C word, but not that C word. So, yes, competence breeds confidence. Remember that. So, show your confidence by knowing what you're talking about. Show concern about your customers' wants, needs, and desires. Don't jump into commission breath, they call it, where it's all about you making money at the end of the day. In some cases, especially in this market, it may not be the best time for them to buy or sell. Be honest with them that it might not be in their best interest. Building rapport and finding a common interest. While you don't have to do this to the extreme, this definitely will help if you have a better relationship with your clients as opposed to exclusively professional. Again, when you're trying to build trust, one of the best ways for us to do that is to have people like us for who we are as a human. Maintain your professionalism under stress. This is tough, especially if they come out swinging at you, and they will, because it doesn't matter what went wrong in the transaction or what led us to the current problem. It will be your fault. They don't care that no, it had something to do with the lender or the other side. It was something totally beyond your control. In their mind, everything is our fault. So kind of accept some of that criticism with grace, but not to the point where you're a doormat either, okay? This is a great opportunity for you to educate them on what the potential pitfalls are, but also how we're going to overcome it. So you need to enter into these conversations fitfoing, right? With a plan, with a strategy. Be flexible and ready to learn new techniques and technology. Oh, old dog, new tricks. I know it's tough for some of us because it is changing rapidly. But at the end of the day, it's here. We're here. We've got to learn to adapt. Dress professionally, but don't overdo it, especially in Arizona. You can tell that some of these do's and some of these things are maybe more prevalent in other states. The old rule of thumb was dress one click above your client. So realistically, if they're showing up in a swimsuit, you're probably safe in shorts and a tank top. You laugh, it's happened. Somebody has absolutely shown up in swim trunks to a showing before. Flip-flops are totally fine in Arizona. You're fine in t-shirts and collared shirts and shorts, and some of that's just out of necessity because of the heat. So again, most people may be a little different in the higher end East Valley, but even that, a lot of multimillionaires that are totally fine in a t-shirt and a pair of shorts. You never know how much money they have. So at the end of the day, probably not wearing a three-piece suit. I think you'll probably come across as pretentious, not just professional. Speaking right professionally, if this is not your forte, that is okay. You have a lot of resources available to you now, like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, to help assist with some of those things. Communicate your work hours and return all calls, text messages, and emails in a timely manner within that schedule. Oh, what a novel concept. You actually can set parameters for your business. Where many of you fail is you've mentally set these times in your head, but you've never communicated them to anybody. So nobody knows what your actual hours are. All they know is you didn't answer the phone. So I have more than one agent in here where every morning they reset their voicemail and it actually communicates, hey, my typical business hours are 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. However, I do have 3 meetings today from this time to this time, this time to this time, this time to this time. I will return your call as soon as I am out of those meetings. Something to that effect. That's obviously very cut and dry, but you're setting expectations, you're communicating that. The biggest issue agents have, and this has been for decades reported by consumers, we don't communicate enough. We think we're communicating just fine, or we think we're communicating on a need basis. That's not enough. You need to communicate everything every step of the way, starting with your availability. Take a lot of notes. This applies to just about everything in business, but especially when you're dealing with your clients. So, yes, I would love for you to take notes during classes very often so you can take away some key points, some gold nuggets. But especially when you're talking to clients, make notes when they're looking at homes, what they liked, what they didn't like, what you overheard, what that conversation looked like. As they're talking about their home, the things that they like, even though they're selling it, what were some of those key features that drew them to their home in their first place? And can I use those to try to sell it? Everywhere you're going, be a sponge for information. Write down notes. It's a great way to stay engaged. And this way you don't rely on your memory, which I promise you is not as good as you think it is. So it's always just, and now again, very easy to just constantly take notes, even not to the extent where you're rude. Okay, let me maybe give a little warning about this. Don't only be looking at your phone typing away when the client is talking to you. This is like shorthand, making some quick notes, especially if they've walked into another room, just so that you don't forget about something later, so that you never fail to do something that you told them you were going to do because you simply forgot. Use a sense of humor. This has literally gotten me through so many ordeals in life that I cannot convey enough the importance of maintaining a sense of humor. Not where you're laughing at somebody, but in essence, you have to find the humor in some of these situations. Otherwise, you're going to curl into a corner and cry. We've got to use that. We have to make light of the little things and really focus on the big things. And of course, being positive. Nobody wants to work with a negative Nelly. Good Lord. If you're having a tough time with the agent on the other side, your client doesn't need to know about that. All they need to know is what you're doing to help rectify the situation and make it to a closing success or a successful closing at the end of the day. That's all that they're interested in. And lastly, a really good piece of advice, and again, something you've heard before, associate with people who are doing more than you. Okay, you're the sum total of the 5 people you hang around. So who are those 5 people and what does it say about you? If you're the cream of the crop amongst those 5, find new friends, but ultimately associate with people who are going to help you be better. Know your market. Again, I cannot stress this enough. Literally, your job is to know the market and to know it well. Now, I don't necessarily mean all of Maricopa County, although you can have some general information at your fingertips, like, oh, Leah's monthly market report that she sends out, or the Armless stats, or the Crawford report. All of these things will provide you with a general overview of market conditions. But especially if you're focusing in an area, which I do recommend and which we will cover tomorrow during farming, check your local hot sheets every day. Set you up like you're a client so that you can receive all of the information in the MLS. What is going on in your neighborhoods, in your spheres, in your geographic farms? You should know every single day what's entered the market, what's left the market, what's had a price reduction. Preview property every day. We have 25,000 active listings out there. Now, I understand some of those are not here locally. So let's say we've got 18,000 active listings. At least in your areas, go and preview those. Find out why they're sitting or maybe why they are attractive, why they might sell so quickly. Even if they're pending or UCB, of course, schedule an appointment. Let the agent know why you're going. But you should know what the area is having available both from a sales perspective and from an active listings perspective. Because if you're going to take a listing, wouldn't it be helpful to know what they're up against, what their competition is? If you're hosting an open house and a buyer says, you know what, this home doesn't work well for me, I really want X, Y, and Z, and you've previewed all of the active homes in the community, and you know that the home 2 streets over probably fills their X, Y, and Z boxes, wouldn't that be helpful? Not an, oh, let me check the MLS for you. You know what? I actually just looked at a house in here last week and this is what it had. Is that of interest to you? If so, let's go ahead. Let's sign a 1 hour agreement to show, and I'll go take you to there right now. Or right after I finish my open house, come meet back here and I'll go take you there right then. Helpful information, right? That's what you need to know. That's what you need to have at your fingertips, at your disposal, so that you can make a better impression. I'm a huge, huge proponent of the Cromford Report, and I love Tina Tamber is my girl crush. She is so freaking smart, and she shares so much good information in a way that's easy to understand. And one of the things that she's typically the author of are the daily observations. Cromford Report is not free; it is worth every penny. I think I pay $90 a quarter for it. But aside from just reading the daily observations, they have all of these reports that you can pull up and you can make them broad, you can make them narrow. They are designated for, hey, these are good reports for buyers versus these are good reports for investors versus these are good reports for sellers. There's so much in there. So just something to consider, but it will definitely make you educated when somebody inquires about the market, because that's what you need to know. How's the market? And if I swear, if you say, oh, it's good, I'm going to slap you. That is not enough. You need to know exactly, are you a buyer? Are you a seller? Are you an investor? Are you a first-time home buyer? Ask those questions, get more information, and then modify your response accordingly. Lastly, especially right now, check those interest rates every single morning because they will very likely come up in a conversation. And again, you need to be in the know as to what those look like and how that's impacting the market. Building your team. I know people hear that and they automatically associate it with like a real estate team by a team name or a group under a brokerage. That's not necessarily true. So think of it as your personal kind of backing. So all of us at Realty One Group, obviously you're mortgage professionals. I know Tony's on the call, Barb's here out of our office with us. You have people here that are able to help you, and they have specializations in areas that are not yours. So they're just great resources. Title, home inspection, home warranty, different maintenance providers, and as I mentioned before, a transaction coordinator. As you grow, as you build, a TC is your first core hire because so many of you are really, really good at talking to people, meeting with people, making them feel comfortable. And then you forget to upload your contract that you had signed 3 weeks ago because that's just not your strong suit. And that's okay. That's why we hire people. Let them take some of that workload off of us. Any questions so far? I know I promised you I was going to go fast, and I am.
Ilya, I have a question. What's the
Yeah.
best way to check the mortgage rates every day?
So there's a website called Mortgage News Daily. That's probably my favorite. We also have, and I'll let Tony interject here. We also have some different programs available to us that Epic is sending out emails on a regular basis. If you're not getting those, and I think by regular I mean daily, where it's actually giving me an update as to what all of the Epic rates are for the day. But yeah, for everybody else,
Hello.
mortgage news daily.
So I just put in our Epic rate sheet right there, and you can actually subscribe to it at the very bottom, and you'll get it. You'll decide how often you want it. If it's a daily every morning, you'll get it every morning, and it'll show you the exact rates and how they compare.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so that link is in the chat box for anybody who wants to go ahead and subscribe so you can get that information. Thanks, Tony. Anybody else? All right, let's get to goal setting. All right, so a little preface before this. I am going, as I mentioned, I am going to send out a business plan, and part of that business plan, it is a written business plan for you to complete, is going to be goal setting. Because obviously, if you don't have any goals, what are you working toward? You don't know. We need the big picture. But one thing when you're doing these that I want you to be aware of is the SMART system. So some of you may have heard this before. I think I probably heard this as early as high school. But for a goal to be a true goal, okay, not a wish, they need to have a few things in common. It needs to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So, generally speaking, a good SMART goal would be I am going to make $100,000 by the end of 2026. Okay? It's specific. I'll know if I hit it or not. It's measurable. I'll know if I hit it or not. Attainable, yeah, probably. We're going to go with yes. We're going to be optimistic and say that's absolutely. Relevant, yes. It's obviously based on my business and my production and sales. And timely, again, yes, indicating that there is it's realistic from a time perspective and that there is an end date on that. So those are some of the goals. If you just say I want to be happy in life, no, that is not a goal. That is a broad scope statement, and it needs to be what does happiness look like to you, and when will you achieve this happiness? I'm sitting here like death. No, at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you're following these guidelines when you're coming up with your goals. Otherwise, how are you going to know if you hit them or not? The attainable is maybe one that I love you all for. You should make goals that scare you a little bit, right? But I will never forget, I had an appointment with a brand new agent, and I thought he was joking. He looked across the table at me and he said, well, I'd like you to help me make $1 million my first year in real estate. I said, are you an investor, or are you, buying and selling yourself and you're going to achieve this $1 million through that? He said, no, representing clients. And I said, I'm not the person for you. And I would recommend that you sit down and you really think through your goals, because I won't say it could never happen, but the likelihood of a first year agent making $1 million, I'm going to say, is not attainable. And needless to say, he never sold a single house and he dropped his license 2 years later. So clearly there was no goal setting in place. They certainly weren't smart. It's just a lot of wishing. Successful business owners must have a written business plan. That's why it's critical. Do I dare ask, does anybody on this call have a written business plan right now?
I'm an overachiever, yes.
I was looking, I'm like, how fast can I scroll? Because I bet I can predict some who do. You're my gold star student, Sunny.
Sorry?
I said you're my gold star student.
Oh, please, thank you. I'll take it. Thank you for the.
For those who don't, or for those who don't even know what a business plan should look like in real estate, that's why I'm going to send you what I have, because it asks you very focused questions and then tells you very specific tasks for what you need to do to complete it. Create clearly defined written goals in all areas of life. Again, we're talking about the SMART goals. Measure and track your results. Oh, I have a fun tool for anybody who loves spreadsheets as much as I do. I'm going to share something really exciting today. And use your personal and business budgets. Okay, so transactions needed to reach your income. The overall kind of consensus when I ask agents, what is your goal for this year? I don't know if this was taught at school somewhere and everybody decided, hey, the number is 100,000. If I ask just a typical real estate agent, how much do you want to earn this year? Almost without a doubt, it's $100,000. What an arbitrary number, but we're going to rock with that. So based on the average sales price in my area, this might be a little different for some of you. I just use the median price for Maricopa County. What is the average commission per side? Okay, that's usually based on some number that we're not supposed to fully discuss, but it's probably in the realm of 2 to 3%, depending on what you're willing to work for. The average commission per sale. So the difference between these when you're working in this spreadsheet that I'm going to share, just a heads up, your average commission per site is the total. Your average commission per sale is going to be your net take home from that. Okay, so you see I subtracted the transaction fee to Realty One Group based on the sales price of this house. So that's why there's a difference between per site and per sale. How much money do I intend to earn? And then how many transactions will I need to close each year to make that goal? 10.4. That seems super realistic, right? I mean, I don't know who the 0.4 people are, but ultimately between 10 and 11 transactions to hit my goal. That's one sale a month. And I can take December off. You can't, but you could. So ultimately, this is what this lovely little spreadsheet, bear with me, is going to do for you. So this thing has so much information, and these are all editable. So you can go ahead and start playing with these. We'll say 10, and look at all of your numbers starting to change. 6. What is my closed volume? So these are my year-to-dates. These are my goals. So this is how much I want to make. These are the percentage of listings I assume I will take over sales, which are buyer side transactions. The breakdown of my GCI. These are the commission percentages that I'm going to charge. These are the different sales prices. So let's say if I change this to 450, all of that starts to change. What's my success ratio? How likely am I to close this? In this market, maybe let's say 50%, let's be honest. But you can start playing with all of these numbers. And as they update here, they start updating elsewhere. So here's how many prospects you need. So you need 6.63 listings sold based on the numbers that you just inputted. The number of weeks you're willing to work per year. So if you're going to work fewer because you want to go out and do things, fine. Just change that and it starts modifying all your numbers. So this is the number of listing presentations you need per week or the number of listing presentations per month based on your conversion rates for how many listings you need. And then it follows up with sales. So all of these are breaking this down for you. So you need to go on 3.3 listing presentations per month. Same thing with how many buyers you're going to need per month. That's outrageous. So we're probably going to go and start modifying. This is one of the reasons that we like to list over working with buyers. I understand that's a little tough in this market. So only work with good sellers who are willing to price accordingly and actually do something with their home so that it will sell. But all of these are going to start modifying for you. How many contacts you need from all of these different prospecting activities. Even if you don't fully play with all of this, because it's a lot, I understand. It is nice just to get some ideas. Okay, so I'm door knocking, FISBOs, expired sphere of influence. I'm doing my farming, just listed to sold cards, different networking avenues, social media, internet, sign ads. I'm doing all of these different activities. These are my target markets. Same thing. It's going to go into detail about different strategies. So if you're like, what should I do today? I don't know, probably look at some of these and start employing some of the activities that they're referencing. Writing personal notes, connecting on social media, sending out birthdays or anniversary cards. All of these different things. But yeah, it's all in here. Your cost, your budget. You can keep track of all of your closings, your income and expenses. This is a great little tool because it actually coincides with the Schedule C. So when you go to file your taxes at the end of the year, this was a great way to keep track of all of those expenses in the meantime. And the one that I dread the most is your personal budget. I don't like eye-opening activities like this because, believe me, I know I spend a lot of money that I don't have. I don't need a spreadsheet to throw that in my face. But for those of you who are gluttons for punishment, you are welcome to utilize this and also see where all of your money is going in ways that you didn't even think possible. But this is what I'm sharing with you, so you will have access to all of this and you can play with those numbers. The other thing that I referenced was that written business plan. So this will also be going out. Prompts, questions, all different tasks, your different goal setting, where to put it, how you're going to accomplish it. This is your business plan. So if you've used nothing else, I've got that there for you. Can you please? Oh, yeah, that link should be up there, Brian. So if you scroll up a little bit, it should be right in there where Tony shared. But I will also copy that link. Tony, do me a favor, email me your link, and I'm going to send that out in the recap as well.
Yes,
Thank you.
I said
I
yes,
know I
sir.
didn't really give any. I'm like, do this, just do it. All right, let's go back to our slides here.
Thank you, Leah and Tony.
Of course. All right, so we've already kind of played around with some of these numbers. We know what we're going to do in our spreadsheet. This is another really eye-opening activity. So what does your week consist of? Are you efficient, organized, and highly productive? Yay, smiley face. Or are you scattered, disorganized, and wasting time? And you may not even realize that you're wasting time, but you're about to find out because I'm going to do a fun little exercise with you. And then understanding the difference between revenue producing versus supportive activities. I can't tell you the number of times that I hear real estate agents complaining about being busy. I'm like, cool, what did you do? Well, I took 8 hours to design a flyer. Whoa. We have pre-made flyers ready to go. You can do something in Canva very quickly. AI, which, by the way, back when I was in real estate and we had to walk uphill both ways to get to our listing, we didn't have these things like AI to assist us with our marketing. Now do. So, of course, ensuring that you're giving it the prompts to stay compliant, but there is no reason that you should be spending that kind of time on a single marketing piece. That is not revenue producing. That is a supportive activity that other people can do on your behalf. And many of us already have. We've literally created plug and play systems for you to take advantage of that. And then activities you can delegate to others. I need open house flyers. Okay, if you're one, they can be pre-made in roughly 2 seconds in the MLS. If you want something a little more spiffy, Title is very helpful in doing those things. We also have some gorgeous templates available to you in your One Design. So again, you shouldn't be wasting time on things that don't matter at the end of the day. So with that in mind, let's discuss, where does the time go? So let's have a little fun with this. I want you to think back on yesterday, Monday, and from 7 in the morning until 6 o'clock at night, I just want you to briefly jot down your notes. What did you do? "11 hours. What did you do during that time?" Oh, somebody's actually writing on the screen. I kind of love that. Do you want to share with us what you did or didn't do? How many of you don't even remember what you did yesterday because it wasn't that memorable? Maybe. Oh, Sunny's writing. It looks like an upside down. Nope, it looks like cow udders. Wait a minute.
I don't like this pencil. So from 7 to 8, I wake up. And then from 8 to 9, I have my coffee and meditate and have my daily Bible devotional with my husband via Zoom. I mean, via WhatsApp. Thank you, WhatsApp. And 9 to 10, I drove and met you. 10 to 11, I still met you.
It was
11
a
to
productive
12,
day.
I know. 11 to 12, I went to go pick up a closing gift, a specific closing gift. 12 to 1, I ran to Costco and treated myself to an ice cream, strawberry shortcake ice cream that they now have, which is new. And then 1 to 2, I came home and unpacked and everything. 2 to 3, I had a late start on Monday because normally on Mondays I like to have everybody like, how do you say? Because Mondays are normally just busy days for everybody. So I try to make my calls between 2 to 5 or even after 6 o'clock. As you said, I actually do about 10 calls a day.
Good. Sunny, I'm going to stop you right there because you're telling me exactly what I want to hear. So this is
Oh,
what I'm going to
sorry.
share. No. It's a good thing. So we're going to get into time blocking. So I did that with the expectation now that I'm going to share what a perfect day and a perfect week should look like. And Sunny hit a lot of those metrics. So when we discuss time blocking, the concept is we're only going to focus on one activity for a block of time. You can create these blocks in any increments, but generally speaking, they're going to be between 30 minutes and an hour. The calendar that I share is based on hour increments. Schedule your time off before your time on. So I love that Sunny shared some of the things that she does in the morning, because those are the things that's amazing. Pop those into your calendar. That now became part of your daily routine. So if you go to the gym, if you have special family time, if you attend church, those are the things that you want to pop into your calendar first. That way we know what blocks we're left with for conducting business. And then the rest of your time is blocked with goals in mind. The old rule of thumb with prospecting, and you can modify this a little bit, but not much. Really, there is a book called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I'm sure many of you have heard of it. Hopefully, many of you have read it. And one of the things that they focused on was agents, and this was back in the day where making $1 million in real estate was, I mean, you were cream of the crop. That was quite the challenge because the base price of homes just wasn't that much. But you were doing that routinely. And they said what they were doing was effectively prospecting every single day. This was their gold standard. They would devote hours, and the golden rule was 3 hours a day to prospecting activities. If that seems too much or overwhelming right now, dial it back and start with 1 and build your way up. But at a minimum, you should be actively prospecting at least 1 hour a day. They do break this down with the prospecting schedule. So hour 1 is the preparation. Who am I going to communicate? What am I going to communicate? And when am I going to get started? Hour 2 is the actual prospecting, picking up the phone, sending text messages, your social media plan, open houses, whatever that is, that's your next hour. And then the hour 3 is follow up. So I'm going to show you that in essence, anyone that you spoke to during your prospecting hour or hours, you're now going to follow up with by sending them a handwritten card. So remember at the very beginning when we discussed the tools and I said stamps and cards, this is why. Because it sets you apart. It does something different than any other agent is doing. This is your perfect day, your perfect week. So wake up, work out, your accountability. So again, that may just be your one of your own tools that you're holding yourself accountable for. That could be you have an accountability partner. That could be a call with a coach. There's a lot of accountability in there. 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., that's your administration time. These are things like, hey, I'm going to create my flyer for my open house. I'm going to upload documents into SkySlope. I need to check all of my email. Then at 10 o'clock, you're prospecting, and these are giving you different ways to do that. So your COI, your sphere or circle of influence, you're making phone calls, you're sending text messages, you're doing pop buys. You were going in your neighborhood and putting flags in the yards of all of your neighbors for 4th of July weekend. You're prospecting your farm. You're either door knocking or you are engaging through one of your farm pages like Nextdoor or your Facebook page if you're managing one of those. Circle prospecting. You are walking the neighborhood to invite neighbors to the open house that you're holding this weekend. That is circle prospecting. You start with the home and you go out in a radius to invite all the local neighbors. Again, prospecting COI. You might have to modify some of these. Like if you don't have a big sphere of influence right now, if you don't have people to call that you know, then start replacing those with open houses. I'll tell you what, if I were a newer agent or if I was an agent in a little bit of a slump right now, I would be doing an open house every single day. Even if no one shows up, it's at least giving me that brand name recognition with my signs out there. It's showing other potential sellers in the neighborhood that I'm willing to do what it takes to get a home sold. They don't need to know if it's my listing or not. All they know is they're consistently seeing my signs. So again, if you don't have the funds for farming geographically or to do pop buys, or you don't have a big enough sphere to make it worth an hour of calls, then you can start modifying some of these with other lead generation activities. Then you've got your social media time, which is a very specific plan. Again, don't get lost in the vortex. These are the people that I'm going to befriend. These are the people I'm going to friend friends of friends and continue to grow that way. I'm going to post this type of content. I'm going to share this information. A word of caution with social media that we will get into when we have our class next week as well. Try to steer clear of doing everything business or everything personal. Okay, should be about 70-30, honestly, about 30% business and 70% personal. They want to know who you are and start building that rapport and that trust to determine if they want to work with you as a human. All right, and then client time. If you are not currently working with a client, then I would go back to doing an additional open house or spending more time doing things on social media by befriending people and posting relevant content, whatever that looks like, attending a class to teach you how to do those things. But these are your blocks that you should be focusing on. And what you erase, you must replace. So if you need to bump something out to do something personal, like go to the doctor, then you're going to have to trade off one of your other boxes in that time. The very basics of prospecting, and this is going to be our focus for the next several weeks. The goal is always to take outer circles and make them part of our inner circle. So all of the activities that you do, the open houses, anytime that you're out doing an event, you're participating in some sort of networking avenue, all of those things, the goal is to get them in to be clients, in essence. That's what we want. So these are just your outers, your sign calls, your farming, direct mail, online ads, websites, networking groups. And then it starts merging in, okay, social media, they've connected with you in some way. But now I want them to connect and conduct business with me. So these are your different circles. When you are talking to your people, specifically your sphere, just an acronym to keep in mind, because you're thinking, well, what am I going to talk to them about? It's not about hiring you as their real estate agent. That might be the little tag at the end of the conversation, but really you're just calling to check in. If you are doing this effectively, they're already friends with you on Facebook. You're posting enough, you're posting regularly, 7 days a week. 3 days are business, 4 days are personal. They're going to know that you are in real estate because of what you're sharing. So really, you're just calling to check in. Ask about their family, ask about their occupation. One of the best things that social media gave us is information. So now I can call even with a purpose because I am checking their social pages before I make that call. Maybe they recently had a granddaughter. Maybe somebody recently graduated. Maybe they had a life change as far as occupation. What a great basis for calling with that personal reason, that personal touch, just to check in. So keeping in mind, those conversations really are focused on the first 3. Once they become clients, then we focus on the D for dreams. And that's really, tell me about your expectations for buying or selling. But everything else above that, talking about their family, talking about how work is going, talking about something from a recreation perspective. If you're all in a hiking club, that seems like a pretty safe bet for conversation. Those are the things to focus your calls on. Not, hey, so you may have realized I'm in real estate. I just wanted to see if you have any business to send my way. No, it's tacky. Don't do that. Call, making it all about them. The business will come. Your homework, complete that written business plan. Read The Miracle Morning for real estate agents. This is available in a ton of different formats. If you're not a reader, that's fine. You can listen. It's available on audiobook. And then the one habit that I really, really would love for you to get into. It may not happen overnight, but this is kind of the standard that I want you to adopt in your business. And it's called the one habit. The one habit means I'm making 3 phone calls a day. I'm meeting or adding 3 new people to my database. And then I'm writing 6 notes to those 6 people. So the 3 people I called, these are people I already know. They're family members, they're friends, they're former coworkers. I'm calling them, checking in. Then I'm going to send them a handwritten note that follows up to our call. The 3 additions, most likely those are going to come from door knocking or from open houses or from some sort of outward prospecting activity. try to get their information so that you can send them that handwritten. Thank you so much for attending my open house. It was a pleasure meeting you. If I can provide any assistance to you in the future, don't hesitate to reach out. My card is enclosed. Easy peasy. Not always feasible, but if you can reach this, then we're going to discuss the major benefit that comes to that when we get to our database and CRM class, which, oh yes, we have that coming up next week. Any other questions? I know this was like, again, duh moments, but information overload. There is a lot. I think that going through that spreadsheet, going through the business plan, and reading this book will make a lot of it much more clear. But I will also share a blank, well, an editable version of that perfect week. So you can start tweaking that to determine how you're going to make all of your boxes fill with prospecting activities. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. All right, everybody, I won't keep you. We've got a great class tomorrow. The most amazing Chuck Disney is going to be on, and he is going to share all sorts of amazing information regarding what he does from a farming and marketing perspective. So join us tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
Thank you, Leah.
Birthday, America.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Leah.
Leah.
Yeah.
Have a good day.